Hi, Diana. Welcome to the Soulful Love Summit. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Tree. I love your name. Love
Oh,
it. Love it.
thank you. I have two trees behind me, and I'm always thinking of
Oh,
growth. That's what
bro.
my name
Yeah.
reminds me of. Just
Yes.
grow, grow, grow.
I love it.
Can you tell us a little bit about your business? Because you have lovin90days.com. And so you're
Yeah.
all about love. I'd love to hear about your business and how you got started in this.
Well, of course, I got started because I couldn't find love. I had a very difficult childhood. I won't go into the details, but, it's the kind of thing that when I was born, my father didn't come to the hospital because he said, oh, another girl, I don't want to see her. So that started me off feeling very, very, very conflicted and, frightened of relationships with men. It was really an unknown. And of course, then I was dating and made all the usual mistakes when you have that kind of background, settling for crumbs and all that stuff. I was very, very fortunate because I had a person who came into my life who was like a fairy godmother, except it was a man. And so he really, really helped me find what I call my diamond self, find my charisma, find my voice. I needed help finding everything. I tell you. That's the honest truth.
As do we all, pretty much.
And, out of that, I met an amazing man. Been, very happily married to him for decades, and it gets better actually, which is amazing.
Yes.
I mean, there's research that shows that this can happen, but to actually live it is a different thing. And so I started my Love Mentor coaching business because I want to pay it forward, and I have now a team of the most incredible coaches that are fairy godmothers for people, So it's all about paying it forward.
Yeah, and I found that a lot of people who finally achieve a certain level of success in relationships or in any avenue want to actually teach it, especially when you find so much joy in it, you want to show others how to achieve that too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There are a lot of people watching here who are not in a relationship, but also a lot of people who are in relationships that have been in relationships for a long time, who are probably wondering right now, how the hell does it get better? Because for them, it's sort of settled into this like mundane, you just get so sucked into your everyday lives, whether you have children and then it's all about the children, or even if you don't have children, you're like so busy in your daily life without really working on your relationship anymore. So how did it get better for you?
Well, I was really taught about this by my love mentor, and he talked about actually making sure that you continue to have an affair with your husband.
Love that, yes.
Yes, you have to continue to have an affair. So, let's say he's coming home from work. What would you be wearing if you were having an affair? What would you be saying to him? You know what I'm saying? How would you be acting? How would you touch him? Right? And if you really let yourself play with that kind of thing and forget the old ratty, slippers and the old robe and kind of slough off the time you spent with the yelling children, which is sometimes hard. When we had kids, I could only do this really about twice a week. Right. All I could get up for. When we had kids at home, we would have one going in date, which was an intimate date in the house, and one going out date where we would go outside for a date every week. That was in the calendar with a babysitter lined up twice a week, right? Wow. Yeah. So in other words, it's like if you want something in work, right, you put your mind to it, you get a mentor, you get to where you want to go. Well, in a relationship, it's no different. You have to put your mind to it and get a mentor, find out what you can do to make it juicy, to make it really, really, really juicy. And it can stay very juicy very long.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
So when you
it shows that 10% of the population is living like this, who are married for decades and they're still madly in love. 10%.
That's pretty incredible. That's actually a lot more than I thought, to be honest with you.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the question is, A, how do you get a good partner who's willing to grow with you like a tree, right? Willing to grow and, really on your wavelength and who's really crazy about you. Those are the 3 criteria you want to look for. Willing to grow, on your wavelength, has similar goals, can talk your talk and really understands you, and then crazy about you is the 3rd criteria. So that's what you want to look for.
Yeah. And also I would guess you have to be crazy about them just as equally.
Well, start by having a little program of 3 with people who work into you. Then you see, sometimes, it may not be immediate that you're crazy about them. It may not be immediate. And a lot of times we play little games with ourselves. Oh, he's not good enough. Well, I wouldn't want to be part of anybody's club who wants me to be a member. That could be unconscious, the grass is greener. I have a lot of dating patterns. I talk about dead-end dating patterns, and we can fool ourselves. So it's best to start with people who are into you, and then to see what you like and what you don't like, and what you need and what you don't need, and where chemistry can grow, where it can grow. Often if there's too much chemistry, you get into a flame out, what I call a flame out. So it's hot and heavy, it's amazing, blah, 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 5-hour dates, amazing sex, blah, blah, blah. And of course, he disappears.
Right. Yeah, I love that, because a lot of times we're just exactly what you're saying. We are crazy about somebody, but it's based on our negative, our toxicity patterns and all of that. And so we're crazy about them because they're triggering all this shit. and so we're crazy about them. So I like the idea that we don't have to be crazy about them to begin with.
And I say date against type. Date against type, not your type. In other words, if you go for the athletic tone, blah, 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 blah guy, go for somebody who's a little more sedentary, see what it's like. You know what I'm saying? You go for the younger guys, go for a slightly older guy. Date against type and see what happens, because love almost always comes in a surprise package. It really does.
I agree. That's what happened with mine. It really comes in a surprise package, not exactly what you were expecting at all sometimes.
No, he's going to be tall, he's going to be this, he's going to be like going to find something shorter or balding, right? But he does something, right? He does something. There's something about him that excites you, that enlivens you, that turns you on to life, that turns you on physically. And sometimes that is emerging, more and more and more. So that's what we want to look for. If you want to wind up in a marriage that gets better and better over time, that's what you're looking for. It's that kind of energy. And someone who is really self-introspective and self-disclosing, and who's been mentored, has had coaching or therapy or something. He's willing to grow. So he can grow along with you.
Right. And what are some of the dead-end dating patterns that you mentioned earlier?
Well, I have a number of them in my book, Love in 90 Days, quite a few. But then there's one called I'll Make You Love Me, right? So you pick somebody that you're crazy about, and you are so fantastic, you just know he's going to love you. You just know it. And even though he actually says to you, I'm not into a relationship, or I'm not into kids, and you want kids, he says that. No, that doesn't mean anything. you're getting him tickets to the playoffs because he really liked it, and you got him an amazing thing for his birthday, and a cycling trip you're going to go on because he's a cyclist. And of course, that's just really cutting your own throat there and dating. It's just, recipe for heartbreak.
Yeah.
The flame out, I already mentioned. The hermit. How about the hermit? I want love, but I don't go out. I don't go into any activities. I don't really pursue the online dating or apps. The hermit. I mean, it ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. You have to get out there. There's so many. Abuse, recycle. You keep marrying an alcoholic, or you keep dating a drug addict. You keep dating someone who's narcissistic and mean. There are many, many, many dead-end dating patterns, and that's why it's so helpful to have a fairy godmother. That's why it's so incredibly helpful to have a mentor, because the mentor, you can get on your thing, you get in your pattern and you're convinced, it's so obvious, this is the one, I'm going to make them love me. Sometimes it's more than one pattern, right? And you're so into it and talking yourself into these things. You need somebody to come in there and straighten you out and say, no, there's a red flag. No, before you get even more deeply entangled and hurt worse. It's just, there's nothing like an outside viewpoint who can, give you feedback. And help you really steer the plane to love. It's kind of like having a wingman, how do you steer the plane to love? Most of us grew up in families where we did not see healthy love relationships. I know I did not. I did not see any of this stuff that I'm actually living out. So it was hard to learn how to do it. It was just very, very hard. And then we've been wounded, we've been hurt, you go through. You have some deficits from your upbringing, and then a distant father or whatever it is, or, a critical mother, and then you tend to repeat that. And so it can really be wounding and really hard, really, really hard, And I tell you, a big reason I do this work is that my heart goes out to women who've been so hurt. I don't think there's any pain quite as painful as heartbreak, betrayal, being abandoned, being belittled. And that's the other thing that needs healing, your heart needs healing. And that's something that, I talked about it as a fairy godmother, but somebody coming in as a kind of like a new parent, coming in to help you feel your diamond self again, help you find your hope again, and help you find your faith in yourself and your mojo again. So, the fairy godmother, that kind of relationship is there to help us. It's not like you go through life and you were hurt growing up and then you're hurt again and you have to be alone. There are people around who can help you, and these people can be right in your life. It can be, someone who believes in you, a stepmother, a great aunt, a really good therapist, people who might be in your network. They can help you, and people who know how wonderful you are. And they help you see that. Yeah.
And if you've never experienced that kind of love, whether it's watching your parents, you've never seen that kind of love, you don't even know what it's like other than what your imagination can come up with. You have a process in your love mentoring that I think it's 4 steps that can show somebody how to create that soulful love.
Yes. Number 1 is figuring out what kind of input you need, and there are 3 kinds of inputs. Nurturance and validation and appreciation, right? If you didn't get enough of that, you're wonderful, you're fantastic, oh my God, you're so beautiful, whatever it is. Truthfully, all the good things about you, someone who can give you that kind of input of appreciating all the good things. And then there's actual limit setting, right? If you tend to kind of indulge yourself and go with the bad guys and be drinking and having wild nights or whatever you're doing, and you may need someone to help you rein yourself in. That's kind of limit setting. Also, in limit setting is actually looking at the truth. I mentioned earlier, like, oh, there are red flags. That's a limit setting. And that's an input that a fairy godmother or a love mentor can give you. And the third thing is actual advice, constructive advice, like advice about, the good guys are going to not be at the bar. And why don't you go with this hiking group, which is phenomenal, right? So actual advice about where the great guys are, right? Even, how to use online dating, how to make it work, because that can be horrible.
Yes.
And apps can be horrible because you can just get bitter and miserable. And if you don't know what you're doing, you get this sense and it's about you, you're just, and you're living out your negative script. And when you go online, so it's all old men, it's all, nobody, or I'm too old, right? And there are ways to make it rain men. There are ways to actually make it rain men, really interesting men too. And so that's the third thing that a fairy godmother or love mentor can teach you or show you or help you with. So it's nurturance, limit setting, constructive limit setting, red flags, checking red flags, and then the last one is actually knowledge. It's knowledge. It's advice. Really good advice. Mm-hmm. So you want to decide. That's your first step. You're going to decide what you need. You may need some of all three, right? And then the second step is identifying someone who can give that to you, right? So that makes it a little more straightforward. I mean, if you know that you need limit setting, you need a straight talker, right? You need a straight talker, not your girlfriend who's always saying to you, you were fine, he's an idiot, you were great, oh, he's terrible. Not your girlfriend.
You need someone who will tell you the truth.
Yeah, the truth. Yeah. Who loves you, who cares about you, but will tell you the truth, right?
Yeah.
So you want to pick somebody like that. If you have a straight talking aunt, you would go to her. If there's somebody else that who. The thing is that you want someone who can notice you, who can know who you are, right? Mm-hmm. Who has what you want.
That's an important distinction.
Yeah, they can see how wonderful you are and give you faith and hope in that. Mm-hmm. And then they know the road because they've been there, right? So it's very, very important to understand, that's step number 2. And number 3 is actually going to them and saying, can you help me in my love life?
Yeah. Which is hard for people sometimes to ask.
Oh, yeah, so it is. It's probably very hard. It's like they're embarrassed, ashamed or whatever. But can you help me? Would you help me? And the last thing, the 4th step, is to make that happen. In other words, not just let it go. In other words, have meetings with them, go take them out to lunch. You're going to give back to them too. You give them a little gift, come over, talk about it, debrief. Sometimes you can find a love mentor who's a natural matchmaker. That's another interesting thing. A friend of mine who lived in the building I used to live in New York City, she put together, I think, 16 couples. Not with any matchmaking business, you understand?
Wow.
This was a natural matchmaker. She was like, oh, I think you would like this guy who's a reporter for the New York Times. She's very well connected. I mean, this was in Manhattan. She had an amazing network. She had an amazing network. Oh my God. Anyway.
And a lot of people are watching now are wondering, what is her name? You don't have to share. It's okay.
No, I wouldn't, because she's too busy as it is.
Especially because it's not her business, it's just her
Not
thing, right?
No.
Everybody's going to be looking her up and calling her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the thing is to make a stand for yourself, that you're going to really develop and deepen your self-love. You're going to develop and deepen your confidence. You're going to develop and deepen your mojo, no matter what has happened. And I don't care what's happened. I know that every single one of you thinks that your situation is the worst. It's impossible. We've had women in our Love Mentor coaching program where, the guy has sex with her, leaves her with an STD. The stuff like that. She finds out that he has a baby with somebody else. It doesn't matter what has happened, really, because even in those cases, they have been able to really, really move forward, And so just do it in spite of the fact you're sure nothing will help you or nothing's going to work.
I don't believe anything is beyond repair or beyond hope. I think no matter how far on the bottom you go, you can always come back up.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's why I love women in particular, because they're so courageous about relationships. They're so courageous, after whatever, they're like, I'm going back out there. I love that.
So what about this rain you're talking about? Let's talk about the raining men. I want to know how to, I'm not for me, but for the people listening, how do you make it rain great men?
Okay. Well, first of all, you want to go offline to what I call mentastic activities. These are activities that have lots of men in them. There are things that you would enjoy. Key here is that you would enjoy it, right? So you're going to be in your element. You're going to have fun. You're going to be alive. You're going to be in your diamond self. So that would include wine tasting, hiking, certain kinds of dancing. If you're into artificial intelligence, investing, think about it. Where are the men who have similar interests? Where are they going to be? Charity functions, and go there. And you want to say hello to at least 3 guys, and you can start with the ones who are not hotties, practice. It's very important.
Right. It builds your confidence. The more, you can get comfortable starting slow. Don't start with the one hot hunk that's like, oh my God.
Everybody wants,
You got to build your way up to them.
Yeah. And then online, there are many, many things you can do to get tons of guys. I did the Love a 90-Day Challenge on the Fox Morning Show a little while back, and I started out with a woman who was 37. She was overweight, unemployed. She had no men. And I had her coming up number 1 on Match in New York City area in her age group.
Oh, wow.
And she had, at one point, literally 12 guys who were of interest, right?
Right. Wow.
Yeah. But you have to know what you're doing. With there are certain things which I can't go into all of them, but you have to know what you're doing so the search engine keeps putting you at the top. Also, your photo is very important, very important. You want to be smiling, making eye contact with the camera, wearing a red top, ideally scoop neck, with moderate makeup, because if it's too little makeup or too much makeup, men actually rate. This is all based on research, right? Not my opinion. This is research, and also from tens of thousands of cases in our Love Mentor coaching program. They rate you as less beautiful if you meant too much makeup or too little makeup.
Wow.
So, yeah, isn't that interesting?
That is interesting, yeah.
And your photo is everything. So you want to take at least 100 photos and really put your energy through the camera, really make it pop.
And make it current.
And make it current. Don't cut out anybody. Please do not find a picture where there's an arm and you cut it. Also, I don't want anybody else in the photos, even in the secondary photos. because it gets confusing. Men will not recognize you, right? You don't want anybody else in the secondary photos. But make sure there's a good full-length photo in the secondary photos that shows your figure to good advantage. 96% of men, no matter what their age, rate an hourglass figure is more attractive. And anybody can have an hourglass figure. I don't care if you weigh 200 pounds or more. All you need is a belt and a push-up bra.
I was joking with my friend the other day, and she said, "Oh, how freeing it is to not wear a bra." And I said, "What if I didn't wear a bra? My knees would hit my boobs." Push-up bras are good.
If it's comfortable.
Right.
A big if.
Right, true. That's great. So then what about those who don't want to online date? There's also the offline dating, that what you were talking about, Mantastic.
Yeah, the Mantastic activities, go to a lot of different activities. Make sure you're busy. You can even give a course. Let's say you have something to teach. You can teach cooking. You can teach, cooking for widowers. You're older.
Or 20 years old looking for a widower. You could try that too.
Cooking for one. Or cooking for one. Or no, you could give a course. You could give a course if you have a special skill, accounting or whatever it is.
Okay. And for those who are already in relationships, we talked about for having an affair with your partner.
Yes, and having one going in date and one going out date every week that has a regular babysitter if you have kids.
And are there other ways to create that exciting love and passion back again? And also not only for those people who are in relationships now who are looking to gain it back, but for even the people who are new in relationships to keep that going.
Well, I have a whole book. It's called Sealing the Deal.
Sealing the Deal.
The 7 real laws of attraction. And the number 1 real law of attraction is to continue having fun. Mm-hmm. Continue having fun, because when you met, you were fooling around in the pool, you were dunking each other, you were having a ball, you fell in love, right? You go to the amusement park, you're riding the roller coaster. You want to continue having fun. Now, sometimes when you're dating someone and you're in that gray area, like, are we going to go exclusive? Are we exclusive? I don't know. What is he going to do? Is it the L word? I don't know about the L word. You can get very tense and weird, mm-hmm. and stop having fun. I can't tell you the number of women we've helped in the Love Mentor coaching program who one of the main things the Love Mentor did was have her continue to have fun, have the woman continue to have fun, even though she was feeling tense and didn't know where they stood or anything else. But really enforcing that. You're going to continue to have fun. You're going to go out for ice cream with him. You're not going to mention any commitment right now. You're going to wear your push-up bra and have fun.
And your belt.
When they ask men, why did you marry your wife? Mm-hmm. What they actually say is, and this is in the research, what they actually say is because I feel good around her. Mm. I feel good around her. Now, what does that mean? That means she's alive, she's having fun, she's laughing, right. She's validating, she's appreciating. Some of the other real laws of attraction, validating and appreciating, Mm-hmm. I feel good around her.
And it's so simple, isn't it? I mean, it makes total sense. Of course, you're not going to want to be with someone who you don't feel good around. But we don't. It's just such a simple piece of wisdom, but we don't really think about that all the time because we want to be with people who we feel good around too.
Yeah. You want someone to come in and love you unconditionally and be upbeat and wonderful and happy, right? And fulfilling his life dreams and everything. Well, you have to be the change that you want to see in the world. You have to be the change. You be the change, and that will come to you.
Mhm.
You know, the outer world mirrors the inner world. So that's very important.
And if you're fun loving and having the joy from within, then it doesn't matter what's happening out there. You're going to have fun. And if he's with you, then he'll enjoy it too, hopefully.
It's going to be good. Oh, listen, men, they love to make women happy. That's what they want to do. They're wired to make women happy, just to actually serve them in some kind of primary way that I think is biological. But they love to make women happy. They really do. And they take it often as a personal failure if the woman is not happy. I can't make her happy. I just feel like impotent.
Right. I agree with you, actually, because I think back in the day when I was in very unhealthy relationships, I mean, I really thought that men's number one job was to make women miserable.
Yeah, well, it seems that way. It really seems that way, doesn't it? It does. Because when you get in a dead end dating pattern, that keeps happening. They're like disappearing, or they're cheating, whatever they're doing.
Right.
In the pattern, and you think, oh my God. But it's not really true. On the deepest level, that's not true.
Yeah, I agree. I think, especially when you experience a good man, you realize, well, he's not the only one. There's so many more out there that are good, and you realize that men aren't there to make you miserable. They really do want to make you happy. Like you said, it's a real thing.
Yeah. So let them.
Now that's hard.
And don't be shy about what you want, even if it's big.
Right.
Where do you want to go for dinner? Whoa, I really want to go to 50 Ocean, which is very pricey, right? You say it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't hold back.
Yeah. And you either go or you don't. And
you see what happens, right?
Yeah.
You see what happens.
Yeah, that's great.
The interesting thing is that a really good guy who is right for you will stretch. Do you make that happen?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good sign.
Right. And in the beginning, do you suggest doing that like on a first date when they say, where do you want to go?
No, first date.
Just wait a little bit.
Coffee. First of all, I don't want you spending too much time. We're really ruling people out. When we want to get a numbers game going. Dating is a numbers game. We want to quickly rule some people out too. So no,
you don't want to have a 2-hour dinner commitment on a first date.
No. It's coffee, public place, and check each other out. Because if the energy's there, you will stay together talking for 2 hours or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Even if you're at a coffee shop, that's true.
Yeah. But you don't want to be stuck with that. And somebody who's talking about his investment newsletter over and over and over and over again. I mean, unless you like investments.
Right. I was always very uncomfortable on first date dinners when I was younger and dating. It just seemed awkward. I didn't want them to pay because then I felt obligated. Yes, right. Exactly.
Yeah. This way, there's nothing. We say, take a little peek here, see if you like what's there, what appears to be there.
Right. Then you go to the restaurant later.
Yeah, exactly. Then you let them take you to 50 Ocean.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So in your love mentoring program, you talk about all of this that you've been talking about, and you coach someone through from the beginning of having 0 contenders and no rain, complete drought, to
having, feeling really good about themselves and empowered and like they can choose. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Not like they have to be chosen or they're never going to be chosen, but that they can choose. I mean, what a big, beautiful, breakthrough that is. And that's what we work on, with the love mentors. Having that breakthrough and then having a lot of men to choose from, different men to choose from who are good. It's an amazing thing. I really feel blessed that to have this. We've worked with women all over the world, even in China. So
oh wow,
Yeah.
Wow. And I also feel so blessed because you're offering for the audience today who are watching a 40-minute session. Is that right? A 40-minute free session, complimentary?
Yeah. You guys can have a 40-minute free session with one of my fairy godmothers, my love mentor coaches who are amazing. I mean, these are the people I would use if I had an issue in love. And I did use one of them when I did my PBS show. I did a PBS special on love, which was very challenging because I didn't have any training to just be like the one singular person in an hour TV show. And, you got to stay in your lines. You got to, make contact with all parts of the audience, watch the teleprompter, make it totally natural, make jokes, and deliver the payoff line into the face camera.
Jeez. That's a lot of pressure.
I asked one of the love mentor coaches to coach me in the green room, and she worked with me for a couple hours, actually.
Oh, that's great.
It was amazing. It was totally amazing. She cleared, I cleared out the anxiety, the feeling I can't do this, all that, and was able to go out there, and it just flowed so beautifully. 3 people in the audience got married from the audience.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was so cool. Anyway, but you guys can have a session with one of these love mentor coaches by phone or Skype, and all you need to do is go to lovein90days.com. That's lovein90days.com, and click on the coaching tab. I guess you'll have the link underneath.
I will, yeah. I'll put it down there.
So the link will be there. Now, here's the important part. You're going to fill out a form asking for your free session, and it's important to say, Tree sent me. Just put in Tree sent me. That way you will definitely get your session. And the problem is, sometimes we get inundated with requests for sessions and we have to turn people away. But if you put Tree sent me in there, you'll definitely get your session. And you can talk to a fairy godmother.
Oh, that is so generous of you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm sure the audience appreciates that too. That's great.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be able to do this.
Thank you. All right. Well, I'll put that link underneath for those who are listening and on the road and can't quite go there now. But I'll put the link underneath, and I'll also be in the transcript of this as well. And I just wanted to thank you so much for coming. You've been such a joy. It's been a lot of fun.
It's been fantastic. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.